Hey folks, it's Sunday evening. The weekend is drawing to a close. And you're at home thinking about Monday, how you're going to hoof it tomorrow morning. I don't know about you, but there's not a single Monday in all of my life that I have felt like hoofing it. If it's cold weather, you just want to stay in bed. Nowadays, it's warm weather. May flowers are blooming. I don't necessarily want to just stay in bed. I just don't want to go to work. Right now, I've had a headache this evening. I don't get headaches. It's very rare for me to get a headache. But something happened this evening, and it feels like my head's about to split open. And I hate taking pills. I am not a pill taker. I think that's a slippery slope. So I did the things, I made sure I had something to eat, and I made sure to drink plenty of water, and I even took a nap, and I had the lights turned down kind of dim, and it still just kept going and going, and so I've taken some Aleve, and it's not really relieved. So, how was your week? I'm going to tell you some things about mine. I've been a zombie. I'm not sure why, but this past week, I couldn't get enough rest, couldn't get enough sleep, and just felt like I was always in some sort of haze. So, I made it a heavy reading week. Reading is it's relaxing. And I read lying down a lot. So I'm on my couch, I read, and you get that wonderful, almost asleep feeling. And you just lay your book over and take your glasses off, and you just slide into a nice sleep. And then you wake up 25 minutes later and you go, oh, I think I'll have some Cheez-Its now. And you pick up where you left off and read some more. You may be asking, Zach, what were you reading? I am not a big book reader, but this week I did read a secret history. I'm sorry, wrong book. The Little Friend, right author. Donna Tartt has written 3 novels. First one was A Secret History, came out in the early 90s. This one, The Little Friend, came out in 2002. And then the most recent one was The Goldfinch, came out in 2013, 2014, something like that. She's known for taking about 10 years to write a book, and it's worth it. Now, let's talk about this. I don't read long books. That I'm not drawn to them. I feel like it's work. I like short stories, articles, personal essays, creative nonfiction, blog posts, that sort of thing. But 624 pages, that is a commitment. And if the author's good, and she's excellent, if the author's good, you finish that book and you feel like you have accomplished something. Or you've just eaten a great big meal and you feel satiated, satisfied. And this was that. Now, I know if you go online and start reading up people's opinions and reviews, you're going to find people saying, but it didn't say, she didn't reveal, whatever. It was still very, very satisfying. I am fascinated by the South. And I mean, this atmospheric presence of southernness. How do you define the South? Some people automatically want to go to a region. Oh, it's got to be below the Mason-Dixon line. But you can't include Florida because too many people move there from elsewhere. That's not what I mean. You can go to all sorts of different places. I live in North Carolina. It is rapidly becoming similar. You go to the city of Cary, C-A-R-Y, centralized area of relocated Yankees, it has been called. Because so many people move there from up north that now Where are the people who were from Cary and their great-grandparents lived in Cary? This book is that southernness. And I don't mean that in a region. I mean that in a way. It's a way of being, living. And it takes place in the early 1970s in Mississippi. I believe if we really were in Mississippi, we would pronounce it Mississippi. Just slide that all out there. And Donna Tartt is originally from Mississippi. I have had the pleasure of meeting Donna Tartt on more than one occasion. And let me just tell you, she's one of the most intimidating individuals I have ever laid eyes on, and yet gracious and very interesting. Oh my gosh, so interesting. I met her in college. At that time, she lived fairly close to Hampton, Sydney. She now, I believe, spends most of her time near Charlottesville. Anyhow, I'm going to read a little excerpt, and let's just hope that nobody, I don't have any rights to this. This is just an excerpt, though. I hope nobody deletes my video. I want you to hear the atmosphere, and I want you to hear the craft of how she shapes language. Unlike Allison, whom other children accepted vaguely, without quite knowing why, Harriet was a bossy little girl, not particularly liked. The friends she did have were not lukewarm or casual, like Allison's. They were mostly boys, mostly younger than herself, and fanatically devoted, riding their bicycles halfway across town after school to see her. She made them play Crusades and Joan of Arc. She made them dress up in sheets and act out pageantry from the New Testament, in which she herself took the role of Jesus. The Last Supper was her favorite. Sitting all on one side of the picnic table, a la Leonardo, under the muscadine-draped pergola in Harriet's backyard, they all waited eagerly for the moment when, after dispensing a Last Supper of Ritz crackers and grape Fanta, she would look around the table at them, fixing and holding each boy for a matter of seconds with her cold gaze. And yet, one of you, she would say, with a calm that thrilled them, one of you here tonight will betray me. No, no, they would shriek with delight, including Healy, the boy who played Judas. But then Healy was Harriet's favorite, and got to play not only Judas, but all the other plum disciples, St. John, St. Luke, St. Simon Peter. Never, Lord! Afterwards there was the procession to Gethsemane, which was located in the deep shade beneath the black tupelo tree in Harriet's yard. Here Harriet, as Jesus, was forced to undergo capture by the Romans. Violent capture, more boisterous than the version of it rendered in the Gospels. And this was exciting enough, but the boys mainly loved Gethsemane because it was played under the tree her brother was murdered in. Now you tell me that's not good writing. That is excellent writing. The whole book, and I'm not lying to you, this is a commitment. 624 pages, you're going to have to set aside some time. It immerses you in a world, and that is what a short story cannot do. That's what a 10-pager cannot do. A novel creates a world, and you get to enter into that world for the time that it takes you to complete the reading. So I recommend it. It's an excellent book. Fair warning, it's dark. I would put it in the category. It has some Southern Gothic features. Southern Gothic is going to have some heaviness, some weight, some darkness. There's this overarching decay, something that is falling apart. Odd relationship between past and present, what used to be that we long for, but was it really all that good? And now what we have, and is it even that good either? There is some language. Here's my thought on language, and we could talk about this. When you watch a movie, when you read a book, and there is coarse language, Some people are going to say, absolutely not, it should never be there. I think there's an argument to be made for that. I'm of the mindset, is it accurately reflecting reality? I'll make another example. Excellent movie, Shawshank Redemption. You spend the vast majority of your time inside a prison with inmates who are there for life. Many of them are there for life. And it would be odd for them not to use coarse language. I'm not saying I like it or approve of it. I'm just saying that it reflects the reality of the setting. And the same for this. I think there's a meth lab involved. There's a snake handling preacher involved. There's just some fascinating characters in there, and you're going to expect them to use language that's maybe not the same as what you would use in day-to-day life. Okay, enough about the book. I encourage you, read something beefy. Next, I have been dropping these little things, and I think we should have a little hint, or not a little hint, a little test on what do I do for a living? And you say, oh, well, you teach. I do. But the first thing that should come to mind is, oh, Zach Roberts, real estate. Let's play a little game. I say real estate, you say Zach Roberts. Real estate? Real estate? But this has to apply to other things too. If your friend Tessie from down the street says, I'm thinking about selling my house, she didn't say real estate. She said selling my house. And the first thing that should pop in your head is, Zach Roberts. Do you have Zach Roberts' contact information? Because you could. All you got to do, send me a message. I'll even give you a phone number. You could send me an email. My work email is zroberts.re@gmail.com. Super easy. zroberts.re@gmail.com. If you need to get in touch with me, get in touch with me. I am looking for referrals. What does that mean? You send people my way because I need business. And everybody you talk to says, well, we're not looking to sell our house. Correct, I know that. But Great Aunt Tessie is. Or Cousin Joe, or neighbor down the street. And so when they say, well, we're actually moving to North Carolina. We're about to buy a house. Oh, Zach Roberts. That's the first thing that should pop into your head. Okay? Okay. As an agent, I hear the question all the time, well, how's the market? How's the real estate market? I'll tell you a little story to help you understand how the market looks right now. A few weeks ago, I took a couple to see a house. The pictures, sharp-looking house. Not perfect, but clearly going to be a desirable property. Way outside city limits. I mean, we're driving to the countryside. As you're driving up, the road slopes. It's really starting to look sharp. It's starting to look very pretty. We see horse pastures on one side. Then you arrive at this 3-acre property that was for sale. The agent called me and said, when we scheduled the visitation viewing, is this a funeral? The showing. He said, I'm just letting you know, the house went live today. That was on Friday. And he said, we're expecting it to sell before Sunday. And Sunday was the day we were going to do the visit. Well, lo and behold, it did work out for us to go on Sunday. By the time we get there Sunday, the agent met me at the door. He said, we've had 46 showings in 3 days. How's the market? 46 showings in 3 days. We walk through the house. There's a swimming pool. The view of these other horse pastures not attached to this property. Somebody else, you get the joy of looking at somebody else's horses and not having to take care of them. But the house smelled like dog. Bad. It was very dated, very 1970s. It was not even clean, and the trash had not been taken out. It smelled bad. My client kept saying, is there cigarette smoke mingled in here? Maybe. I was struck by the dog smell. And where I'm going with this is, you have a semi-desirable property, depending on your likes and dislikes. The price tag, it was at $389. And in 3 days, they've got 46 showings, and they don't even take the trash out. And my clients and I discussed, this is going to need a lot of work to update, to move in. And I asked, can you live with dog smell for a while? Can you live with shag carpet for a while? Can you live with yellowed wallpaper? That's correct. We did see it had to have been smoked in because of the yellowing on the walls. And the other agent told me, he said, I'm just giving you fair warning. In order for your clients to be competitive, they're going to have to offer over $400 for this house. Remember, the asking price was $389. And in the end, my clients chose to pass, that this wasn't the right house for them. But when you ask me, well, how's the market doing? That's how the market's doing. That's how the market's doing. We have buyers all around this area who need to buy a house. And not many people are selling. I'll say this, whether you're Republican or Democrat or Martian, everybody I know is just a little bit nervous. And you look at the way the economy is being shaped, and I'm not going to have a full political conversation here. That's not what I'm trying to do. But you just look at the way conversations are being had. People listen to the news they want to listen to. I don't care who you are. People are just a little nervous. And then you add on the fact that interest rates are still not quite what people would like. It could be a lot worse. It could be a whole lot worse. Just do a little digging. Look back at the early 1980s and you'll see interest rates were far higher than they are now. But no matter what you think, what you know, I'm just telling you, it's a little risky right now. I think people are nervous, and so they say, I'm just going to sit on my house, and if I don't have to sell, I'm not selling. And so buyers are really having to compete to buy homes. Okay? Real estate. Zach Roberts. Folks, you all have a good week. Make something good to eat. I've got a feeling I'm going to be making a chocolate cake this week because I want one. Have a great week. Love y'all. Bye.